Hi. So using this little keyboard to talk about chords, there's a C, right? There's another C. There's another C, and another C, and another one here. There's one here. This is not a full-size piano, 88 keys, but you can imagine if it went further down that way, there'd be more C's that way. And if it went further that way, there'd be more C's that way. And meanwhile, there's 7 white keys, right? There's C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Then you get to a C again. And then there's 5 black ones, which are the sharps and flats. It's only 5. So 5 plus 7 is 12. 12 notes. So now looking at the fingerboard on the guitar or bass, electric guitar, acoustic, doesn't matter. It's the same system. I would think of, when I think of a fingerboard, unlike a piano that's like a staircase, right? There's one of every note in a straight line, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. And then there's just the 5 sharps and flats, right? Once you realize that that system is only a 12-note system, and then you think about it, on a guitar it's the same thing, except it's like a twister board. Remember the game Twister, where you had a big kind of like a carpet-sized or a rug-sized board with a bunch of different colors, but there was many of every color, right? So wherever you needed, if you couldn't reach the red color, you know, the right hand red, right? If you couldn't reach this red dot, there's always another red dot on the twister board you can reach. Or if it says left foot blue and there's a blue right next to you, maybe you can't reach it, but there's also another blue somewhere else. So the same thing with chords. So when most of the guitar chords you learn have a lot of redundant notes in them. So if I play this chord, here's a G, right? Some people play it this way, some people play it this way, some people play it like this. Really, there's in any major or minor chord, basic chord, it's a triad, okay? It's called a triad because there's only 3 notes in it. So for example, a G chord, it's a G, a B, and a D. If you have a G, a B, and a D, you get a G chord. When I do this, which is a very common way to play a G chord, I'm playing many of each note, not just 3. I got 6 strings. This is a G on the bottom. There's a B. There's a D. Open D string. Then there's a G. So now I've got 2 Gs, another D, and another G. So because there's so many of every note in different octaves everywhere, you know, I can put my fingers in this arrangement and I'm hitting those notes. I'm hitting a G, a B, and a D in some form. Now, technically, if I just played the G string, the B string, and the D string, that's a G chord. If I just play those 3 strings right here, that's a G chord because I'm playing a G, a B, and a D. Now if I put my hand, let's say here, or here, or here, wherever I put my hand, every note exists. So that's the deal why you say this. There's so many different ways to play so many different chords. The same thing on the bass. There's so many F notes and C notes and everything, B flats. Wherever you put your hand, every note is there. So that's an important thing to remember. I said there's only 12 notes. So let's say I take a 5 fret span, right? There's 5 frets. It could be any 5 frets, but let's just take these 5 right here, okay? So if that's 5 frets, that means there's 5 notes on every string. So there's 6 strings. That means between my hands, there are 30 different notes I can play. Well, not 30 different notes, because there are only 12 different notes. Our musical alphabet only has 12 letters. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, 7, plus the 5 sharps and flats, 12. So between my two hands, every note must be there at least twice, because if there's 30 different places and there's only 12 notes, every note must exist at least twice, some of them 3 times. So if I put my hand anywhere, let's say I put my hand here, and I wanted to play that same G chord, there must be a bunch of G's, B's, and D's here that I can exploit, like the twister board, and put one finger here, one finger there. And if I get at least one of each, G, B, and D, it's a G chord. So if I put my hand here, here's a G. That's a G note. Here's a D note. Here's another G note. Now I can have as many of each note as I want. It just makes the chord sound fuller. So now I've got a G, a D, and another G. I need a B to complete it. I can reach a B right here. So this chord, that's a G chord because it has G, B, and D in some formation. Here's a G, here's a B, here's a D. So that's a G chord. Here's a G, here's a B, and here's a D. That's a G chord. Put my hand here, here's a G, here's a B, here's a D. So those are all the same notes. It's just you should think about chords like people, like voices. And in fact, when you change the arrangement of a chord, the notes in a chord, they call it changing the voicing, right? So if I have 3 people singing, if one person sings a G, say this one, the next person sings a B, the next person sings a D. When they sing together, that's a G chord. If I happen to have a 4th person, I give them another G, maybe somebody with a high voice. So this guy has the low voice, he's singing this G, and then there's a lady with a high voice and she's singing that one. So together you have G, B, D, and then G again. Say I have another guy here, tenor, and then a baritone. So this is a G chord. But it's just the same 3 notes. So if I just close my eyes and I put my hand in a random spot, and I know where the notes are, there's gotta be, there's a G chord. Because there's a G, a B, a D, a G, a B, a D, B. So that's what's important. That's why to know the notes on the fingerboard is like everything. It's like knowing your multiplication tables. It's like knowing 6 times 6 is 36, rather than sitting there and counting to 6 on your finger 6 times. You have to know the fingerboard. So anywhere I put my hand, I can get any chord basically, right? So let's say I had a simple, I'll put a few chords together like say A minor, C, G, D. A minor, C, G, and D. That might be the entire song. Okay, so now let's say that's the acoustic guitar player, lead vocalist is playing that. The lead guitarist or the secondary guitar player might say, okay, well, I'm going to take those chords, A minor, C, G, and I'm going to find them in different spots to expand the orchestration, so to speak, of the tune. So here, this is an A minor chord. It's got A, C, and E in it. So is this. This has a low A, a low E, a high E, a C, another A here, another E here. But all that boils down to A, C, E. So there's an A minor chord. The next chord was C. There's a C right here. Look. Then a G's here. And here's a D. So let's say I was playing this. Here's the song. Right? So I played the same chords, A minor, C, G, D, A minor, C, G, D, A minor, C, G, D.